In the opening scenes of the movie, a young boy named Lewis is featured, consistently sporting peculiar goggles on his head. Actually, he was inspired by a TV character who was a captain. That's why he always used to wear goggles on his head like him. Lewis was sitting on a bus as he was going to his uncle, and he has lost his parents. Before their death, his parents gave him a ball, and Lewis used to keep it with him always. This was the last thing of his parents he had. Lewis has none, that's why his uncle was calling him. He reaches his uncle after a short time and gets shocked to see the scene when he moves inside the house. He was seeing the blocks everywhere, and these things were attracting him. Then his uncle showed him his room, which was huge and lovely. Jonathan questions him about the ball, and Lewis says, "I keep it with me always." He becomes emotional while telling this and starts weeping, but Jonathan handles him. Then he tries to make him happy. Later, they play a cards game at the dinner table. Even Lewis didn't play this game before, but he was winning continuously, and it was happening because of his uncle Jonathan. His uncle knows the magic, and he was doing this through the magic. Lewis hears a voice of metal falling while sleeping at night. He awakes to be scared and listens to the voices of the watches. Then he comes out of his room and sees the whole house. He sees his uncle Jonathan. He was breaking a wall with the hammer, and Lewis feels this weird and got scared. He returns to his room, and the next day he goes to his new school. He was seeing everything as the school was new for him, and then he becomes friends with a boy. Their bonding becomes strong in the first meeting. Then his friend asks about the address of his house and where he lives. Lewis tells his address. He tells, "I live in an old bungalow on a high street." His friend says while hearing this, "What? You live there? That isn't a place for humans to live, but it's a butcher house, and a man died a few times ago there. Since then the house is called haunted, and it is said there are ghosts. None goes there due to it." And Lewis becomes surprised after hearing this. His uncle Jonathan didn't tell him anything about it. That night Lewis was sleeping and sees his mother in a dream and says, "Mother, I am feeling strange. I feel like Jonathan uncle is hiding something from me." His mother says, "Yes, you are right. There is something wrong due to it, and your life is in danger. You have to be clever if you want to live here. You have to do what I am going to say. You have to find Ott a book and a key. Then she disappears while saying this. Louis awakes. He thinks about this dream and again chases his uncle Jonathan that night. He sees Jonathan was doing the same he has done yesterday night. He was breaking the wall and he gets scared and returned to his room. Meanwhile, a surprising scene is shown. The paintings and everything start moving. They become revived, and when Louis was moving out, being scared, everything comes in front of him. Louis becomes worried seeing all this. He starts shouting, "I am in trouble, help me." Meanwhile, Jonathan arrives and asks him to help him and says, "Let me tell you something about myself. I am not a human, but a male witch, and my friend is also a witch, not a human. This house is haunted because a magician lived here many years ago and his wife also lived with him. They used to do different magics, and one day they died because of terrible magic. They hide a clock in this house's wall before death. Since then I am searching for the clock. So I will get to know the meaning of the clock. What is the purpose of the clock? That's why I used to break a wall every day." Louis says, "Uncle, I want to help you in this, and for this, I also want to be a male witch like you. I like magic and I also want to perform magic." Firstly, his uncle refuses, but when he insists, he agrees to teach him magic. Jonathan gives Louis thick books of magic to read. Louis was an intelligent kid, so he learns all the books while reading them. His uncle becomes happy with him due to it. He becomes impressed, and Jonathan tells Louis everything related to the house. He also shows him a cupboard. It was an old cupboard and there was a secret in it. Do remember one thing: never try to open this cupboard. I will be angry with you if you will do this. I will not talk to you and will not forgive you." Now the kids in the school make fun of his goggles of Louis, and his friend says those goggles don't suit you, so remove them because you don't look good in them. You will look mature and normal while removing the goggles. He agrees with his friend and removes the goggles because he can't refuse him. Jonathan was trying to teach Louis and his friend the magic spells. Louis puts in significant effort to master the art of magic, and he learned magic very well. Now he uses magic in his daily routine, and Jonathan was also attached to Louis. Jonathan and his friend make a plan to search for the clock behind the walls. He finds a room in the basement of the house. He hasn't seen the room before, and he also finds the map of the place where the clock was hidden. Louis brings his friend to his home and his friend visits his house. Then his friend sees the cupboard which Jonathan forbade to open. Even Louis forbade him, but his friend opens the cupboard. They find the book in the cupboard that his other asked him to find. Louis's friend opens the book and finds the procedure to revive the dead ones in the book. Meanwhile, Louis hears the voice of his uncle Jonathan. He gets scared due to it and places the book back in the cupboard. His friend gets angry with him and leaves. Louis's mother again comes into his dream and says, "Well, my son, you have found the book and now you have to use the book. You can also impress your friend while doing real magic through the book. Likewise, you will become friends." And then Louis again invites his friend. He says, "I will show you the real magic this time. I will show you while reviving the dead person." His friend doesn't agree at first, but he wants to see his magic, so he agrees. Then Louis steals the book from the cupboard at night and moves to the graveyard after taking the book to perform magic, and through it, he will revive a dead person. Louis's friend was also there and he asks him to show the magic, and there was an arrow on that book that was pointing towards a grave. Louis was moving towards the grave and reaches there. Then he starts saying the spells to revive the dead ones. As he completed the spells, the voices come from the grave. Meanwhile, a hand of a ghost comes out of the grave. They get scared and run. It discovers the grave was of the magician about whom Jonathan told Louis. The magician who lived in their house before. Louis has revived the magician with those magical spells. Louis places the book in that cupboard so his uncle will not discover it, and then he sleeps in his room. The statues in the house tell Jonathan that he has awakened. He is returning. Jonathan gets panicked and becomes surprised as well. He goes to the graveyard immediately and discovers the magician is revived by someone. He gets shocked seeing this. Now Jonathan and his friends were doing preparations, so they will stop the magician to come inside the house. Meanwhile, Louis arrives and tries to tell his uncle everything that he had done, everything, but before this, Jonathan's friend says someone has revived the magician. If Jonathan will discover who has revived him, he will not spare that human. Louis gets scared hearing this. He remains quiet because of it. Jonathan sends Lewis with his friend to his house and asks him to live with him in his house. "There is danger here and this place isn't safe for you." Reaching the house, Jonathan's friend starts telling him about the magician's life. Jonathan and the magician were best friends and do magic shows together. The magician goes to a war one day, and when he returned he was changed. The magician was lost in a black forest as it was a terrible and ancient place. Jonathan's friend tells that when he went to the forest he met a male witch. Furthermore, he imparts his knowledge of magic to the magician. He also taught him the black magic and also gave him some books, from which a book is hidden by your uncle in a cupboard. Later, the magician married a lady who was a witch. Then they start living in this house, but then one day they died while doing terrible magic. Lewis asks why the magician did terrible magic. What was the reason behind it? Jonathan's friend tells him because the magician was making a magical clock and wanted to rule the world through the magical clock. He has made the clock, but he died while performing magic. He hid the clock in a wall before dying. None has found the clock till today, and Lewis goes to meet Jonathan the next day. He sees the map of the clock as Lewis was taking the map with him. The books start flying. The books attack Lewis. Lewis gets scared and starts shouting due to it. Jonathan and his friend arrive. They save Lewis. Lewis tells them he can help them to read the map.